episode. Today we're going to make a video on the Canon 90D, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at simple features in terms of how you can get started with videography and photography using a DSLR, mid-range camera for your needs, etc. So let's get started with this tutorial. Hopefully these settings will help you in the future. Let's get started. Right, general features on a Canon 90D are basically your manual mode over here, okay, your AV mode, so you're going to click on this button, TV shutter mode, program mode and auto mode. You've also got scenic mode, so if you click on scenic mode, okay, you have got choose filters. You can click on this Q button and you can choose different filters for different settings that you wish. So for example, if you're shooting macro, you can select it on macro. And you can flick through this depending on what you're doing, and it's very seamless. You can just sort of hover through it like this and pick whatever settings you want. Okay, kids, for example, you're shooting kids, they move around a lot, and you know, they sort of move around, and you know, have you ever taken pictures of photographs of kids? My days, they move like lightning, they go crazy, they get excited. So there's a kids feature on there which I think allows you to capture kids with a little bit more ease, which is always difficult. You know, I'm sure you guys out there photograph your children or someone's kids and they move and they make funny faces and you just like, you know what, little man or little lady, just stand still. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they do those sort of things, which is very frustrating at times. You've got your bulb mode, so again you've got your bulb mode here, over here, so there's your bulb mode. Okay, and you've got your manual mode, and you've got your AV mode, and your S mode. So I'm going to put it in manual mode. Okay, so I've got it in manual mode, and you basically got this wheel here, which allows you to hover through. You've got this little joystick. This joystick, some people have been commenting about my 7D, but my joystick being a bit wonky. Well, you know, mate, ladies, folks out there in the big wide world, if your joystick's a bit wonky, then you've damn used your camera, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? It's been used all over the joint. You know, and that's why you got a wonky joystick, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. You know, it might be difficult to resell your camera, but hey, your joystick's been used, so that allows you to hover through. This Q button here is very important. This allows you to go to your menu and click on all these different icons and change your shutter, your ISO, your white balance, your exposure compensation, all the normal features that's available to you with most DSLR cameras. You know that there's millions of settings on these cameras, and the main ones that you need to really hover through is your aperture, shutter, ISO, exposure compensation, your white balance, and your JPEG and your RAW. Okay, if you're filming, you might want to change it to full frame. You might want to put a rule of third grid on there to get better composition and all those things. You might want to, you know, put red eye features on and all those sort of things that might be useful, but you know, you use them as and when you need them. Okay, so again, Q button, you can hover through like this and select what you need. Your AF button over here, so if I click on that, it kind of, the Q disappears and I can hover through this and go through my settings. Okay, this little icon here has a little asterisk, so it doesn't really do anything. Okay, so you can see it's doing that, and if I hover, I can still change my shutter. If I click on it, if I click on this button here, I can hover. Well, I can click on that and then I can hover through this or click on these and change my focus points. Okay, so again, if I click on that, it's a quick button to take me straight to my focus points. That's really important. So if you're shooting in manual mode and you want to get to your focus points really quick, press that, boom, you're in your focus points. And then again, you can just go through like this and pick whichever focus point you need. Okay, so Q button, direct access to your focus points, really important. This one allows you to change your exposure compensation by the looks of it, and your focus, your aperture in relation to your exposure. Okay, so yeah, those are quite nice features. Info, okay. So info basically gives you like this histogram, which allows you to navigate and keep, like, you know, your video, your photographs aligned, which is really useful actually, to be honest. You've also got histogram. So if I click on this and click on this histogram here, that's very useful. Have that on. What you want is a balanced. Now this this is not balanced. Okay, you can see that this histogram is a lot more to my right or my left. That basically means the light content isn't very, very balanced, and it isn't. I'm using a ring light. I'm in a dark, low lit environment in a conservatory of all places, and you can clearly see that the light is not balanced. You want this to be even. Okay, so have your histogram and your this graph on, which will allow you to get a better contrast of exposure. So in post-production, when you're editing, you don't need to play with the hue that much. You don't need to increase or decrease the white balance, because the image has already got all those components within it. And if you're shooting RAW, it's got more data, so you don't need to worry that much as well. Okay, so all very, very useful things for your videography and your photography. So again, if I click back on my start button, there's my histogram again, and I am in photography mode, and it's you know, obviously it's not showing anything because, you know, I'm in low lit environment and I need to change my aperture and shutter. And again, if I click on my Q button, I'm back to where I was, and I've got my histogram. You got hot shoe, so you can add a external flash. Numa are a pretty decent brand. You can get them quite cheap, about 80 quid on Amazon. I got one of those. I've got a Canon one as well. I didn't want to get another Canon one because they cost a lot of money, so I bought one of those Numas. And you can just basically attach it onto that, and you get extra digital light, okay? Or, you know, light basically. You got your menu. And that's for another day. You've got all your settings. Like, there's loads and loads of settings. Some of those might be confusing. Some of those you may never ever use. I can go into techie world and go through all the settings, but I'll be honest with you, half of them you will not use. You will use what you need, and what you need is your aperture, shutter, ISO, video settings, focus points, image stabilization, and maybe some filters. Maybe exposure compensation, and all those things are the key components of your photography and filming. Okay, you're not going to be using the filters that often. You may use the Wi-Fi features and the Bluetooth features to send pictures from this camera to your phone or your laptop, which are useful nowadays. I think you know, we want to get rid of this. Okay, so Canon, you not down there, sorry, down here. You need to get rid of this. This needs to go, man. This is like old school, you know, this is old as me. Do you know what I mean? This needs to go. Why? Why, folks? Why does this need to go? Because it's time consuming. You have to take this out, put it into your laptop or your desktop, and then download the pictures. We don't want to do all that crap. We want to just basically send the photographs straight from this camera to my phone. Do we not want to do that, folks, out there? Of course we do. We want to get them straight. Oh, there's a bug. You see the bug? Straight to my phone, so I can put them onto my portfolio, or I can edit them via my phone, or I can get them onto my onto my printing, so I can get them ready for my client or for myself. Okay, I know some of the newer cameras do that. You know, the R10, R7, Canon New, I think they do that. So that's a feature that I think Canon have listened to their audience, and nowadays audience definitely want that. You got obviously your this lens. This is a 50mm lens I'm using on this. And it's got your autofocus on here as well. Image stabilization is very important, and we will talk about that in another video. And if you've got any questions about this general overview of this Canon 90D, please do post. I'm happy to respond. It's a nice, beautiful camera. You can hold it in camera. It's not too heavy. You know, you can do weight training. You know, or you can just hold it and look at it with beautiness and affection, and you know, your camera does become a bit like your kitten, doesn't it? You play around with it, you feed it, and you just look after it, and you show it love, and it gives you beautiful pictures, doesn't it? It gives you beautiful pictures or videos, and you download those videos and your photographs, and you think to yourself, my days, those look pretty decent. I'm sure you guys get that, don't you, now and then? So yeah, I'm starting to waffle now. Any questions, please do post, and I'm happy to respond to this video of this Canon 90D. Thank you very much, folks.